Oh, no. Well, welcome everybody to the Brad and James show. And as you get podcast, and as you all can see, my buddy Brad is on vacation. This is not Brad.
Definitely it's not.
It's not Brown Brad. It is my better half. My wife's joining me tonight. So y'all give it up for Nece Hill that's in the house tonight. So we're excited to have her. And so welcome to the podcast tonight where Brad is taking some time off. So he's on vacation with his gorgeous wife, Ashley, and so they are enjoying some time away. And so I got to bring in the crew tonight.
That's right,
so
you brought in the talent.
Good. So here we go. And we saw some of that talent last week as she wanted to redecorate our offices by using some fire.
Hey,
And
that brings the party.
as Brad would say, fire. And it was quite the birthdays. Thank you to everybody again for my birthday wishes last week. And so we are glad to have you there. So if you know anything about my wife, you will definitely know that she is a foodie. That is one of her that she is definitely like, that's one of the things we enjoy together is experiencing different foods. And
it's my love language.
It's her love language. And so we were just talking about that. If you know anything about her, she's an amazing cook. And, I actually can't call her a chef because she's not working in a restaurant, but she's the chef in our house. So she does a great job. I know we were talking about some of the foods that we had kind of over vacation. You know, I had my we did some of our favorite food, some of our favorite drinks with Brad, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Favorite meal that you had lately?
Lately, I don't, honestly, to be very honest, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. That just happens on its own. But I made some ramen
tooting
yesterday, and it was pretty amazing. We got to get a sirloin steak and sear it just right, slice that nice and thin on top of a bowl full of ramen noodles and green onions, carrots, cabbage, little cilantro. Mwah.
Yeah. But we were talking about the best news you had while we were on vacation.
Oh, vacay. Well, that's still inspired. I don't know. I have an affinity for Asian food, and probably because it's the most challenging for me to make.
Yeah.
So we went to a place called, was it Saiyan?
Yeah. Noodle House.
Noodle House.
Yeah.
And we had some Vietnamese pho, and it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Oh,
it was good. It was. I think that's been the best one. What's on the wish list for potentially like where we going next? Where's our next food adventure?
Ooh, well, with Rona around, food choices are a little limited right now, and I actually need to go home somewhere. But yeah, I love LA. To me, that is just a food mecca.
Yeah.
And if we ever, once this is over, have a chance to visit back home in California, where I'm from, would love to stop in LA, maybe get some Pink's hot dogs, famous hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a craving. But yeah, I mean, there's food trucks. That's probably, I think I would say food trucks.
How did you mention going to LA and you didn't mention the original Thai barbecue, which
I know, but
I
just talked about Asian food, and I said I have an affinity for it. So, I mean, that's on the list.
When we mentioned Los Angeles, you had to mention the original Thai barbecue.
Okay, no, scratch that, because we've already been there. So if we're going on a food adventure, that means like somewhere you've never been before.
All
and
right.
I still have not tried Viet Cajun crawfish.
Now that's the one right there, because here we are in South Mississippi, and they are definitely friends of ours that are crawfish connoisseurs, crawfish people that cook. But this Viet Cajun, how many of y'all out there even know anything about kind of this Viet Cajun crawfish? I have seen it. We have yet to experience it. But does anybody out there even cook it? I heard maybe some place in Hattiesburg or down at the coast does it.
Yeah, there's a place apparently down in New Orleans for sure, and possibly down in Biloxi. But Viet Cajun crawfish is crawfish, obviously, and in the boil, you go ahead and add all your spices and whatnot. But when you take it out, you drizzle hot garlic butter melted all over it with some more chili on top of it.
Yeah, with the seasoning on top of that.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard this. I mean, it looks really good, you know. But crawfish, I like crawfish, but you know, I'm not the one like peels it and I can't do it.
What James means to say is he's a very dainty eater.
Just can't. I don't be pulling off tails, and I can't do it. I'm just not that way. So, well, listen, I was glad to have you on tonight, just as we were talking and about just different things that we even talk about. What I do love is one of the things I love to do with my wife is we travel. When we drive, you know, hours to talk on the road, hours to dream, hours to do that. That's really even where the just even where God really started putting our hearts about even moving to Laurel and starting the work that now is Agape Church. And so we're always talking about traveling and those kind of things. We had our mission trip. We were going to be traveling to Budapest and Prague this last summer to go on our second mission trip with EI. We're believing to be able to do that. So your brother said, scratch that, Dad.
Okay. Since you're on, let's go ahead and pray for your salvation.
Yes, Frank. I love you, Frank. Yes. So go ahead. You want to go address your brother as he's
So Frank is my eldest brother. He is actually 4 years older than me, and he and I kind of put us at two different sibling sets. We're all 4 years apart, and so it was me and my brother. It's boy, girl, boy, girl. So it was me and my brother Frank, and then it was my brother Robert and my sister Karina. And so Frank knows all the secrets. Which makes him very dangerous because he has a mouth that goes with that.
Dangerous.
And he can slice and dice with the best of them. And I got to give props to Frank, so I'm not going to start none, so there won't be none.
That's right. So we were talking about just even traveling. What's next on the list? Kind of places we want to go. I mean, obviously Prague and Budapest next summer is what we're believing to be able to go back with EI. You know, even somebody probably even asked about just even being a married couple and traveling and in ministry together, like how that all works. How does it? You know, I always still excited. I'm having the time of my life. I mean, how is that with you? Like you're just in that like ministry and marriage and can it work? Does it work? I'm believing. I'm believing it's working.
Yes, it can work. Here's the deal. James and I knew each other from the hotel industry. So I don't know if you've shared that on this podcast before, but we actually worked in hospitality. And so we kind of have similar likes and also similar things that we just cannot do.
Can't do.
They're on the list. So when we have that background, making travel is easier because we both have an expectation of it needs to be a nice environment. Now I'm separating our pleasure travel from our mission travel because mission travel,
it's about the mission.
It's about
the mission. So we may not have the hotel accommodations or lodging accommodations that we're used to. So and that's okay.
That's okay.
We understand that. But when we have what pleasure travel, we got to make sure it's.
I think that's probably been something that we've grown in and being able to do more of that, and also the experiences that we're able to offer our children. You know, growing up, we didn't have a chance to like travel extensively necessarily. Like I felt like we were well learned, but it's the difference between like reading about a place in a book and like actually experiencing it and visiting it. And so I can say in our 20 years, almost 20 years of marriage, that I've seen way more of the world than I probably ever thought I would have. And that's been exciting for me. So ministry or just, you know, opportunities of a lifetime. I mean, we went to Israel 3 years ago, and that was out of the blue.
Yeah, out of amazing. Yeah.
One of the most fabulous. It just blew my mind. So just to walk where Jesus walked, and that was a bit of a respite for us. That came at a time where we felt like we needed just God was taking care of us. And so I do think in that question you asked, ministry and travel and does it work? It definitely can work as long as you keep God center and trust that he's leading us where he wants us to go and being obedient to that.
I think that's the big thing when we do talk about traveling, like, you know, and not like I trying to be hyper spiritual, but just going, really there's been places that we never thought we'd go, that because of having the Lord in our life, and not because of who we are, because of who he is, like it's taken a space we never thought we'd go, and so that includes Africa, that includes Paris, London. We have, again, just the difference in going to Israel. I mean, I think that's been, just amazing, just even how that trip even happened. And so, that it was such a great story. We were at a conference actually, and we were presenting. I think I was presenting at that conference, and so they gave us seats kind of near the front. And so it was one of the breakout sessions, and Nece left. She actually went to go use the restroom or something. She was supposed to go in another. I think you were supposed to go in another workshop. You didn't. You came back or something.
It was a short break. We had a little bit of time. I just didn't make it back into the auditorium as soon as I wanted to.
So she was out there talking. That's what that meant. And so she went in there. She came back early, and she came back. And so when I got back, there was a lady sitting in Nece's seat that actually had her name on it. So in my seat, I was next to her, and it was they had our names on there. So I sat there, and I sat next to her, and the lady was just sitting there, and it was a breakout session. So I thought, well, Nece will be back after the lady up and leave. Well, Nece came back during the session and sat on the other side of me, and then sent me a text, and it was like,
I sat on the other side of the lady. So the lady was in between.
Did you?
Us.
Oh yeah, that's right. On the side, yeah. And then she sent me a text. She said, Harper, who this woman?
Who this woman?
So she was like, Harper, who this woman? And so so we then from there, after the session, the lady looked, and she looked at like the two of us, and clearly she was not an African American lady, so she saw the two of us like on either side of her. She's like, you all look like you're together, and kind of like, you think you think we're together? And then she said, I think this was meant to be. Mm-hmm. And so we were all like we were thinking like,
she said, have you all ever thought about going to Israel?
Yeah. And so
which was kind of just a random question, right?
Right, exactly. And then I was kind of like a little skeptical, like what you mean? Like, you're trying to, like, you don't have people approach you at a conference talking about taking you on a trip,
James is always very skeptical about travel on a boat.
little historical, not so humorous part, but I'm like, no, be like, y'all take a trip.
Are we coming back?
Yeah. Are we coming back? I want them. So she, and then she said, well, do you all, like, she said, do you all care for Jewish people? She said, do you all?
You have a heart for Israel.
You have a heart for Israel and Jewish people. And I said, I have a heart for Jewish people, and I have and because I didn't know where it was going, I said I have a heart for Arabic people as well. I was like, and so she said, well, have you all ever been to Israel? And we said no. She said, would you want to go? And Nece was like, yes. Like before and I'm looking like, could you please? I don't even know what this lady is.
I wasn't as cautious. I felt like the leading of the Holy Spirit. And see, that's when you just needed to just
trust. That's when you got to trust the spouse. So,
I was Shemai.
So she said, the lady said, well, she said, I'd like to take you all there. I'd like you all to go. And we were really like, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And so she said, if you all would like to go, she told us a booth to go to. She said, give them my name. And she said, the only agreement is you all can never tell my name, that who sent you on the trip.
Her name is.
Right. So we went to the booth she told us to. We told them her name, and they said, oh, okay, well, great. Someone will be in touch in a week to make your plane tickets. And they did, and make our plane reservations. And here we were, found ourselves on the adventure of our lifetime in Israel. I still remember we landed in Tel Aviv at night, and here we were driving they were driving us to the Hotel Yehuda, by the way, in that was in Tel Aviv, right?
That was in Jerusalem.
So was Yehuda in Tel? Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm just letting y'all know the Hotel Yehuda is amazing. If you all go to Israel, you have to stay there. It was amazing. And here we were driving through the city and thinking, oh my Lord, we are in Israel. Yeah. And the things we got to see, friends we made on that trip, Lexi and Jeff Centers, and just an awesome time with them as well on the trip. It was just life changing.
Yeah.
No, we definitely want to go back. But that was definitely one of the trips, and just again, God opened up that door. And so you said think somebody would pay for your trip to go, but it was she said it was her ministry to help pastors refresh by sending them on these trips. So it was great.
It was really interesting. We were hooked up and connected because of that trip with the Fellowship of Israeli Related Ministries.
Right.
And they, Agape Church, through gifts that people give, we actually support that ministry in Israel that supports other ministries as far as like abortion, people helping unwed mothers and worship teams in Israel to be able to minister. So that relationship bore a lot of fruit, and that trip was life changing. And to walk where Jesus walked, on the Temple Mount steps.
Yeah,
and,
that was probably the big highlight. Yeah, for sure.
It's one thing to read about it. It's another thing to
see it
and experience it. So
yeah, I'm just thinking, that was to just see the old city and just to hear the history. And then, what it did is really gave me, I know us, a heart for our Jewish brothers and sisters that are there. And just learned so much, and just powerful. Just really great. And Wayne Hillsden, just leading that work, and King's community being able to connect there was just amazing there. So we got some questions. Let's see what we got. Thelma Sidney, that's my cousin. Actually, we call her Nece as well. She said, what are the difficulties
Nece.
you have in ministry while raising and balancing a family? Ooh, she went real. Look at her. You want to take that one first?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Probably the difficulties aren't in ministry necessarily. We agree that that's what we're called to do. Difficulties arise mostly out of communication, and that doesn't necessarily just deal with ministry. That's just your work-life balance in general. We have to communicate because we have 4 children that depend on us knowing, what their next steps are. So staying engaged with what's going on in each other's life on the day-to-day, and to, be a support to one another. There's so many things that are coming against, my husband as a pastor and as a community leader, that if we're not, supporting one another, you just need to know. I know as a wife, I just want to be able to provide my husband a safe place to not have to, be on, kind of say. Is that
That's fair. That's
fair?
it. That's
I don't
fair.
want to say
That's
be
fair.
on, because it's not like he's not genuinely a good man. But a place for him to be himself and relax and have fun and eat good food. So
yeah. I think one of the big things, Amy, that, and because I think ministry comes out of our relationship. It's not like ministry is our relationship. I think so how what we do there is important about how we are getting along, how we're communicating. I think the big part that I learned early on in our marriage that has worked in ministry is, when we don't agree or we're not in agreement, then we just don't do anything until we find a place of agreement. And that's been a big part in ministry. So I don't, I don't play the I am the man of God card, on her, like listen to the mind of God and submit. And yet, and because of that, when we do know our roles in the marriage and in our household. And so, and we have, what's been great is we have a biblically centered marriage, and my wife respects me as the head of our house. And in the same sense, not in the same, but, I honor her as well, and really try with my whole heart to try to honor her as well in front of my children, but also just in my own life, my own heart. But I think when we start looking at ministry and about like going forward, how do you build together, especially when you do build a ministry together, it is a little different. That role is different where, I'll take the lead, but also she's a co-visionary with me in that God put the vision for this work in both of our hearts, in both of our lives. And there are places where we don't always see things eye to eye, but the agreement may not be, hey, we both see it. And she's amazing at it. There's times where she'll just say, I don't see it, but I trust you. And I can't even tell you like how key that is. It helps you. And I'll tell you this, the one thing I want to be very clear about is that having the right person in your life, and for me, my wife, having her in my life, the power of what a strong woman can do, but also just the one that knows like her God-given ability. Like she'll take a guy that can only think he can build a doghouse, and he'll think he can build a multi-million-dollar building. That's just, those are things that are real. When there were times, and there still are times, where all I need to know, like I will check in with her where I'm going like, am I okay? And it doesn't really matter what anybody else says. If she says I'm okay, I'm okay. Like I feel like I'm good, and so that part, it's scary to be that vulnerable, but yet, what else supposed to do? Like I'm just like I'm not out there trying to impress anybody else, or not in that sense, but she knows me, and so she knows my weaknesses, knows my faults, and yet when she can say, "Hey, you're gonna be okay," that means a lot, and so I think that's huge to have as well.
And I will say, what to not counter, but to supplement what he's saying is, James pushes me. There's things that he sees that I don't necessarily find comfortable. It's not my first instinct. James is visionary. I'm practical. I want to see how this is going to work. I want to see a plan.
Yes.
And he doesn't work that way. And so understanding my strengths can complement his strengths has provided some of the most amazing ideas that have come out of our union, but mostly just being obedient to understanding my role and being allowed to be pushed, because that'd be something, if I was, hesitant, then it could be really bad.
Yeah.
Like leading a horse to leading a horse to water or something like that. I don't know. What is it?
You're not a horse.
The saying is, I know.
I
may look like I have a horse tail though.
No, I think that's been that part. I don't know. The question then again is about balance, and there's no. I don't know if there's like, I don't know if balance is the right word. It's like our family is our priority, and so I'm not sure we try and balance, like make them. That's the priority, and out of that, everything was that flows. Is that fair?
That's fair. We decided early on that our kids were going to be a part of our lives. We weren't going to necessarily just rotate around them.
Right.
They are part of the ministry as well. If you come to morning prayer, you'll see them there. If we have services, you'll see them there. They're serving in teams and whatnot. So that has been, but as far as balance, it's, if we feel like we've been giving a lot in ministry, to know that, hey, sometimes we do need to take a break and really put some quality time into the family unit, then I think we both usually agree around that time.
I think, and she's been huge in that part, Nece, before I married Nece, I didn't really take vacations. I was 29 when we got married. She was 18. And so we were that's what,
okay, that works. I was 32.
I was 29. And so, I got married a little later in Mississippi years, and 29 was that's like 41 in Mississippi years, so I was 29. But I'd been a pastor on staff, and I had like a ton of vacation time, like stored up, because I just never went anywhere. If I went anywhere, it was a mission trip, so that was worse. I didn't have to use vacation time there. But what I always credited with bringing in my life is just the understanding that I need to take a break, and you don't have to feel guilty about going on vacation, and you do have to shut off your phone when you go, and you can't, constantly have the interact. You have to be able to unplug, and so all the money that I've spent on vacations has been because of my wife there in 20 years. But we have, so one of the things we do now, we've invested in, because we value that, and we need it. I need it. We have vacation club memberships, so we're actually paying toward our vacations all year so that we take them, and so it was that's really important, and I love it. I love vacation with my family, but we probably love the getting there as much as being there. I think.
Yeah, that's fair. We could tear up some road now.
Yeah.
We put some miles on.
And we dirty, horrible food. Not horrible like bad, but like that's where the adventures like come in.
Okay, the adventure is we cannot eat anywhere that we have a place that's local.
In our if we
So,
have that place in our city,
It's off limits.
you can't eat there when we go on
So
vacation.
if you have
so
Taco Bell at home, you cannot eat Taco
Yeah.
Bell on vacation. So that kind of forces us to be, as he's driving, I'm looking up where we might stop next and let's try it out. And I'm reading reviews and by the time we get somewhere, I know he's going to be hungry and he's like, okay, where we're stopping. It's second nature. That's kind of part of the adventure.
it's good. Let's see. My cousin, she got another question. What advice would you give young couples starting off in ministry? Woo.
I'll start again.
Go ahead.
Because when I married your cousin, what Jimmy?
The Reverend Doctor.
The Reverend Doon, what do they call you?
Don't start.
All right, Nece.
You are gonna get hurt messing with me.
That's right. I told him. I said I know stuff now.
Yeah, she does. Does everything.
The I married. He was already in ministry, and so I came into the relationship knowing that he already had some responsibility given to him. So I wanted to make sure that I prepared myself not only as a wife, but as somebody who could be a partner in ministry to the best of my ability. So my advice would be to, know your partner. If they're starting off in ministry, we did ministry couples. We would kind of do a marriage assessment for young couples looking to start a church. And some of the questions that we're really looking at is how they deal with finances, which really deals with communication. Because if you can't talk about finances and how you all are doing and what the plan is, that's a red flag. So to start out with a young couple in ministry, those are pressure points. You want to find out that really the things that you're probably the most afraid of, if it's finances, if it's, I don't feel like I have enough training, those are things that really are brought to you to try to work on ahead of time. I don't think you need to be perfect. Clearly. You don't need to be perfect, but I think there's some things that you can work on yourself as well as once, and hopefully your partner's doing the same, that they're working on themselves
I think too, when we did those marriage assessments, by the way, those marriage assessments were with an incredible organization which helped us. And so any young couple that's looking to get into ministry, I would encourage you, look at the launch training with the Association of Related Churches, or ARC. Those are our people. That's our heart, and that's who invested in us, and that's how we've been able to give back as well. So one thing we also would look to assess was there buy-in from both people? Because it really, initially, this thing is hard. Like it is difficult, and the test is going to come some way, somehow. And if one of the two has just felt like they were just along for the ride for somebody else's trip, then when it gets stressful, that's going to come out, And so when we've had very challenging times here in our city and in our community, it was the fact we both knew we were called that maybe in some instances kept us here. And when we were like, when you want to, I don't know if it's give up or you're fed up, but it's calling that keeps you in the place that God has for you. And that's important. There has to be buy-in from both. I think the other part is there has to be, you have to do the visionary thing together. Like, even if your spouse does not have a strong ministry calling, or they're not a preacher, whatever, but God's called you too. If he calls a couple, and I believe that, like when he puts it, if you're married, he calls you both. And now your roles may be different. So so my wife's never been a first lady. That's not her thing. She is very much a strategic leader in our church and in my life, in the same sense as well. But also just so I think that's important. Like, got to know your roles as well and respect that. I think that's really key.
That's definitely key, especially with the women in the relationships. Ministry has a way of trying to tell you what the vision is. People just you love people, but they're not doing what you're called to do, and they haven't been given the vision that's been entrusted to you. So as much as you appreciate the input sometimes it's difficult to navigate and be polite about what the expectations are placed when you know what your gifts are. So if you're I don't know how to play the piano, so don't expect me to lead,
right.
from the keyboard.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just, those just weren't my strengths. And so as much as sometimes that is in my experience, I've heard a lot of pastors' wives talk about those things just being placed upon them that just, add to some of the pressure that they already are experiencing, being in a role they've never been in.
Yeah. And I think like Nece mentioned about money at the very beginning, and especially in ministry, you need money to start ministry, like to fund ministry. It doesn't mean it should stop you if you don't have it, but you definitely have got to have a plan for that, because you need resources to do ministry, and that's just the truth. Now, one of the things when you start talking about that in marriage, probably one of the things I would say, like, I messed up in at first when we first got married, was not handling like like really getting our plan together financially. And it was not, we were broke or anything. It was just merging our two financial lives together. Like, we worked really hard on premarital and make sure we focused in on our marriage and not the wedding and those kind of things. But we gotten back from honeymoon and wedding and planning, and here our lives are together, and but I didn't like get that last piece of kind of like merging finances. And so every time we would come to like we were paying bills, in that first couple months, I would just get like tense. I was like, okay, we're gonna pay, and Nece would just get like just tense, and so I was like, what's the deal? Like we're making like what's the and so but it was just from like both of our because our histories and that, she's kind of like picking like which bills to pay, and I was like, we just pay them, like but we didn't have a financial plan. And then I think one of her student loans from college was just really high, and just hadn't been consolidated. I needed to consolidate like things I just needed to do, and I just didn't do that, so that she had a place. Because she told me before we got married, she said finances was she just said, I want to make sure we were taken care of there. And so that was one thing she made clear. That was an expectation that she had of me going into our relationship and marriage. And so I finally, like our third month of being married, I really kind of like, I was like, oh, like she's stressed because this is something I should have taken care of, like she's like, and she wants to contribute. She's like, well, I'll pay that bill. I was like, oh, you have to pay that. We're and she's just stressed. And I was like, that's because there's no plan. And so I had to really get that. We consolidated our student loans and got a much lower interest rate, and
budget.
Got our budget and our allowances and those things. And so finally like had a plan. And then that just provided that real place that she needed, like confident in knowing the plan as well. I didn't like set it and like inform her. We set out together. And so that was just really, really important. And so when we talk about young couples in ministry, that's important as well as the money part. But it's one of the areas where I did not take care of business at the beginning, and grateful to we learned. So let's see. Tina Cruz Thornhill, renovations are definitely a test of a married couple. What other tests have you faced during your ministry that would be close to that? I don't know. Launching a church?
Tina, we've had multiple renovations.
We have multiple renovations,
We have multiple buildings. We had a coffee shop at one point.
Yes.
Just across the street from the church now, which is
currently the Night Butcher.
It's currently the Night Butcher. And you have a new business starting out with a new ministry in a new town with new employees.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could add any more stress. We didn't add Gabriel to a few more years after that, but I would say later, birth in churches, birth and babies are about as stressful as you can get. So I think that test is something that is I won't say ongoing. I feel more comfortable in our role now. But yeah, trying to run a business, a nonprofit business, and have it be profitable, because you want to be good stewards of the church's finances. We were a new church plant, and so we were putting money into a business, and we wanted to make sure that it wasn't draining our resources. So we turned a business into the black. I think we broke even. It's fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, and then once that asset we were able to sell off, we were able to use that for like down payment for or purchase. Is that how we got the parking lot?
I can't remember. I think we purchased the parking lot, and some of that we did the lighting renovation at the church. We kind of went to LED lighting, save money as well as just aesthetically, and then I think some of that was what we used to purchase mint down as well.
Yeah,
so.
That's definitely what we used, but that was a tool.
Yeah.
That facility ended up being a tool that we used to launch Downtown Thursday.
Yeah. Huge.
And what's considered now Downtown Thursday
right.
was actually called the Laurel Street Fair, for those of you who have
that first year
been around for a minute.
Yeah.
And we used to be on Central Avenue, actually.
Right.
And we used to have a stage outside, and we'd invite local artists to come and play their music, and then we'd have movie night just around the corner. And so we were trying to make things happen at a, what do they say?
Originally
at a dime and a nickel.
Third Thursday.
Third Thursday.
Third Thursday was
Third Thursday was the music component. Yeah. That was our live stage back
Shane
then.
would coordinate that. That was just so really cool, you know. And then we did one time at Lob Lolly. We did Lob Lolly's Got Talent.
Oh my goodness.
We did that one. The world famous Rebecca Staples would come and rock the stage like no other in Laurel.
She was a former Miss Hospitality too.
Yeah. So Rebecca was something, you know. Love her. So yeah, we those are definitely things that we did as well. And then the renovations. We've had renovations.
Which one would you say was the most stressful? I wouldn't know, actually.
I would say the very first one, which was our house. We renovated a house in Napomo. That was our first renovation, and we had only been married, I guess 5 years.
5 years because we had 2 kids.
Yeah, 5 years. So that was the first one because. Where we live, the median house prices were really expensive there in that part of California. And so we had to move like 25 minutes away from where we worked in the city. And then we renovated this house and we got took on that part. There was a huge foundation crack. And so we worked out when we did the negotiations, the people, we let them stay in the house like a week or so after,
2 weeks.
And they delivered the check to the house. And so when they left. And then when we got there, we found this massive foundation crack all the way through the whole house.
Ran the length of the house and then had about 6 inches.
Yeah, difference. And so bad
really
deal.
Messed up our flooring plan.
Bad deal. So, but we made it through that, and some good friends of ours helped us with the renovations as well.
Design choices.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe where you're getting at.
Yeah. So we got the design choices, and of course, Nece has strong opinions, and so.
Okay. Look, are we gonna be honest? Because
I may have some strong opinions.
Y'all need. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
You saved yourself.
Slight ones. So one of but I have some good ones.
No, you do. But I don't think I've met a groom who had such a strong opinion. So I knew it was going to start
wait a minute.
Way early.
Whoa, wait a minute. What did I do at the wedding? Did I have...
Okay, usually like the bride chooses colors and things like that. Like James came in, this is what I'm wearing. This is what I want my groomsmen to wear. This is where I want to do this.
But that was it. I just picked the groomsmen stuff. That was it. I didn't
follow the bride.
You
this
did.
Is what he's going to wear.
You did.
No, he does not have a chance to
black
say.
Bridesmaid dresses.
I'm saying I did. I was trying to coordinate with you.
Which was gorgeous. Which was gorgeous.
I was just trying to coordinate with you.
Well, I guess. So I just was like, because grooms sometimes it seems like a wedding, like we get the bad end. Like grooms kind of have to just
it's a tuxedo.
Sometimes why like it nowadays they get more input.
I just think it's how you wear.
But
tuxedo.
Early, like we're talking 20 years ago, wives picked that stuff. It'd be guys in them, pink and light blue. Because
Okay.
I can't wait to
All
see
right.
Hagen
I'm
in
gonna
his
give you
pink
that.
cummerbund.
I'm gonna give you that, but it was the invitations. It was the cake. It could not have fondant. It had to have whipped cream frosting. You want me to go on?
But you were that same way. Wait, it was like it was just me.
I'm the bride.
But we were.
That's
we
like
agreed.
the traditional
'Cause
thing.
Wait. So let's be clear. Nece and I were friends before we ever dated. Like,
like
we were
7 years.
friends. Like we were friends. And so
That was my homie.
it was like, so we it was like I was getting married, but I was marrying my friend. Like, it was like, this is what we did, you know.
I'm not complaining.
So
I'm
let's
just letting the people
let
know
me tell the people what
so
they
they
did.
understand.
So her first thing she ever cooked for me. Second thing was, I think she made me some enchiladas.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
And so
I don't know.
she made some
I
enchiladas.
have to really
she
like
made
you.
she made some enchiladas, which she did. She was hitting on me while I was her boss, and so she didn't know that. So
no.
so enchiladas. So she made me enchiladas. She made some, and she brought me one, and I made the mistake. I said it could probably use a little more cheese.
Oh my goodness.
Lord, what did I know? I did not know that I had awakened the Kraken.
Yeah,
and
because
so
I made homemade enchiladas where he brought me, like, what was that? Hamburger helper stroganoff?
was it good?
I'm just saying.
Was it good?
I wasn't equivalent.
But was it good?
I had to go out to the market, and hand pick
But
out
it was
chilies, ground them up, and make the mole sauce and
she
all
did.
that.
Okay, so she's like, so she remade them. And she smothered them. And I mean, it was like more cheese than anything else.
I did it the way he wanted.
And so I ate it, and then she just looked at me as I'm eating. She's all, "Is that enough cheese?" And it was kind of like the lesson, like, don't tell me how to cook,
Especially Mexican, like.
Yeah. So I learned early on. Now, then we get to where we're playing out. This is what we did though. We did it, you know, and we were both like, and we had things about wedding. We agreed we weren't gonna go into debt over our wedding.
Yes.
That was number one. Like, we were gonna honor God by not going in debt for a wedding.
Yeah.
And so that was like number one, which caused a little bit of anxiety with folks that had expectations for what the wedding was gonna be and all.
Oh.
But we were like, hey,
We were going to be married a lot longer than the wedding day.
the wedding day, right? So we weren't gonna like have all our resources drained by that. So then, so we talked about, we wanted good cake because we're like, hey, I was like, have you had a good wedding? You're like, no, let's do whipped cream frosting or whatever. We did that. But I guess I was involved in
He was involved in a lot, and really. If I'm going to pull you, I'm going to help you out a little bit.
Oh, Lord.
Because it was never my dream to have a large wedding. So,
yeah, okay,
so
that's true. Right.
Probably why I allowed you. I deferred some of those decisions for you to make because it just really was not that important to me.
But we had to have a large wedding. It wasn't like
Yeah, no,
it
I
wasn't like I
understand,
was like,
but I'm just letting. I think people need context.
Yeah. So the reason why we had to have a large wedding is because I'd been to the church I was in. I was already on staff. I was a single pastor, and of course, as you're a single pastor, everybody, any single person that comes into church, they're gonna make sure they nudge, like, Pastor James, did you see so and so over there? And I'm like, did you see so and so? I just want, so let me just be out there for everybody since we weren't gonna say it. Listen. As a pastor, as a man, like you know, there's things that you have in your heart that you dream for your wife to look like as well. And so I just want to speak for every like single pastor that may be out there that's like in the church that's like nudging him, like for every single person that comes in, like, did you see so-and-so? It's like, that person is somebody's aunt. They're like 20 years older than me. Like, you know, so I'm just saying that pastor has a vision for his life and his wife. Cut him some slack. Okay, that's all I got to say. Amen. I got to say. So, I'd grown up in this church, and I actually proposed during one of the services, and so because they had been, I had been at Cal Poly. They were, my extended family from my family, and so our church was growing, and in fact, we couldn't even hold the wedding in the building where we had church because it was too big. We're at two services, so that's why the wedding had to be big, and it was like 700 people.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was big.
It was an undertaking, and I'm grateful now. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I was
they
trying
blessed
to
us
They
amazingly.
blessed us. They blessed our socks off, and I'm not complaining. I was simply telling the people how you have very strong opinions about certain things, and just got out the way. Just learned that he has an opinion.
Is that a bad thing?
I didn't say it was bad. I was simply saying.
So we did, and I did was probably get what I wanted to wear for the groomsmen.
Can I say also about the house? Because we Tina.
Okay,
let me
yeah.
tell you
So
about
the
your
house. Yeah. So about the house. Yeah.
So this man had, again, opinion about paint color, and it's your home, and you want it to be inviting, and you've had neutrals are good. They're popular for a reason. He wanted to paint our hallway crimson red. Is that the right red? Right. Okay. I'm sorry if whatever red, other reds.
It was actually the color was called scarlet. But okay.
Ooh,
All right.
scarlet. Man. So in the afternoon, the sun came through the window, and when you came home, if you opened that door, all you saw was the hallway to Hades, because it was like doom and gloom. If you walked down that hallway, it was bright red. It was just reflecting off the walls all the way out, and the kids were scared to go back there. So that was one.
I'm not the only one that made a error in paint color, because it's very easy.
Oh.
Do we remember?
No.
We don't remember the bathroom at your parents' house.
My parents painted that house. That has nothing to do with me.
When somebody repainted the bathroom and picked the exact same color that was there
that they had chosen years before.
She tried to change the color.
I didn't change the color.
And she didn't know her roots was deep, and she picked it again. By instinct, she picked it again.
No. I was just trying to help out, do my part as their eldest daughter to, keep it fresh.
You should ask for forgiveness.
Okay, last one. Blue on blue, matte and semi-matte color.
Oh, the stripes we did.
The stripes.
Yeah.
Okay, we looked like Carnival Row.
We did not. We did not look. That was awesome. Oh no, it was green because of the varnish thing.
Right.
We messed up on that, but once we fixed it, was it good?
We did gray. We ended up painting that whole wall gray.
We did do stripes.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Got nixed. But the kids' room looked amazing, because that's where you really want bright colors. So it was
That's
great.
where we spent hours. So yeah, that was kind of our deal there. So, but yeah, I think that's been the big part for ministry. I think I think one thing is we get ready. Oh goodness, time has flown. We got a couple more minutes, but I think big part too is, what I love, and one of the things I put on my list when I was like who I wanted to marry, one of the traits they had to have is I wanted somebody I can laugh with. And my wife is definitely that. She has provided me many, many opportunities to laugh, and we have laughed at each other. She always says stuff like, I wish I had a camera so people could see like the real James, which I don't think I'm that different.
No, you're not. Maybe I'm saying that because it's myself. People give me I think I come off a little more strong and not like carefree, but I really do like to have fun.
And we laugh. I mean, we have similar tastes in comedy. We both like to laugh. Now we have differing tastes maybe in comedy. Mm-hmm. There's some things that I think is really high quality comedy she does not care for. No. So one day we'll talk about movies. That'll be maybe the next segment when we bring her back. We'll talk about movies and some of that. We will, but I think that's important. We find common ground too, just on some of the shows that we watch together too, and I think that helps. Like that you got to find like that middle ground. Like for me, usually if it's got some kind of competitive component to it,
yes,
I'm good. Like
so that's really important.
Yeah,
because it started off with like Survivor and The Amazing Race, and now he actually will watch like Chopped beat Bobby Flay with me.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Oh, Project Runway, that's a fun one.
Yeah, thank you for letting everybody know that I watched that with you.
It's our time. I appreciate it. I just want to say how much I appreciate that. One of James's love languages is gift giving. So I really did appreciate and have fun blessing him last week with his birthday. But there was one that didn't come in on time, so I want to make sure to give that to you on air.
My good! Look at that! Intenso. Yes.
It's more for me.
Yes, it is. Yes. Shoot. Yes, Lord. Do you see that? Okay, first off, so here's let me help y'all out. Let me help you out again for my single people, especially the one in this room right here today. I'm going to help you out. Not that I haven't helped people before. Now, they've been ignoring me, but I'm going to tell you. They was like, Pastor James, what's your favorite cologne? I was like, whatever she likes. Whatever makes her want to smell me, whatever makes her want to be close, that's my favorite. So apparently she liked this one. Jimmy going to be rocking this one because I love this right here. I'm encouraging my single guys, find a scent that they love. If you're more of a like you got to figure out which scent, because not every scent works with you. If you're more of a hairy guy, you got to find kind of more them scents that work with you. And you want to be able to, even when you at the job, and you whatever you're doing, maybe you cooking or something, when they pass by you, you want them to be able to turn their head and think, the Lord is with him, and let you never
let
know.
Him use you.
When they there, you never know. So you may just see yourself as cooking, and they looking at you like thinking, and he got a potential, and so that's what you want. That's all I'm just saying, and if you on your way to college, you need to smell good. That was it. Okay. But thank you.
You're welcome.
This is amazing. All right, well, I think is that all our time today? Did that go that fast? Gracious, where are we at on time? I want to make sure I mean, I'm not rushing. I don't want to rush off. This has been fun. So, all right. Well, look here. We got a couple more minutes. Any other questions before we sign off for tonight? It's just been crazy. Again, Bradley's on vacation this week. And so we're glad to have my wife step in. Look at her. And she's looking good. Look at her. Just look at her. I had to step my game up. I couldn't wear no jersey this season. So, and she looked good. I gotta look like I know what I'm doing to some extent. So anyway, that was that. Hey, you got there was another question for us? Are we doing good? Well, listen, again, just want to thank you all so much. Appreciate y'all's support for the Brad and James podcast, and today the Nece and James podcast. She made a little caricature as well. So it's been good. Again, thank you all for being a part of this, and we will again remember that it's available on several platforms. This is part that Brad only does on Stitcher, on Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
any place where you get a podcast.
iHeartRadio,
where
YouTube.
Yeah, so please like it, follow it. We love doing this just as a chance to engage and connect again. If I'm going to make a shameless plug this week, Agape Church is in there. We're over the next 14 days. We're praying on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights at 6, and then in the mornings, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 6 a.m. You're welcome to watch either online, or if you are in the Laurel, Jones County area, you're welcome to come and be a part of that as well. Just seeking God during this season. So I want to encourage y'all to be for that. And if y'all want to shoot us a prayer request that you have, feel free to go on the church website as well. Under is it under where they find that prayer request? Or is that under
It's under
events? No,
it's not under events.
I always get
Contact
that wrong.
us.
Contact us. So you can send us a prayer request. We love to connect with you as well. Thanks again for Hagen Harrison being here and being the man behind the camera tonight. And again, and look, and by the way, that's a good man behind the camera. And so anybody that's out there that's looking for a good man, or you looking for a good man for your daughter, niece, you need. Hey,
Hagen, what's that Cash App?
Look, Hagen is the Cash App. Okay,
Cash App.
That boy,
what's
that
the
boy,
handle? What's
fire,
that Venmo?
fire. Okay, so I'm encouraging y'all. You all want to make sure. Okay. The boy is a great in ministry. He's a hard worker, and so I'm encouraging you all. And we believe in soon gonna be a homeowner. So we just excited. So look, he already got crib for his little boo.
Oh, that's important, because when I met James, he had a home. I mean, it was 800 square feet, but it was a house. It was a house on wheels.
Okay, they got to see themselves living somewhere because they didn't want, because don't no woman want to be where they got no clean place where they
had. That house, when we sold it
for double what
portion. What was invested, what was invested in it.
I feel it. Okay, now shoot, you got to look. So Hagen's about to have a house Okay, and look, that's intelligent man. So I'm just saying, first round draft pick behind the cameras. I'm just leave that there, and you want to contact Agape Church. We'll give you some more information on that. So, all right, hey, y'all have a good night. Again, thank you for going to the Brad and James show with our special guest Nece Hill. Do you have fun?
I had fun.
All right, we'll see you all next week.